Well, good afternoon, and thank you for being here. First and foremost, I'm thrilled to be able to introduce the 54th member of the Kansas City Chiefs Hall of Fame, Bill Moss. Bill was a first-round draft pick in 1984, and he made an immediate impact. He was named NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year and was a member of the All-Rookie team during his first season in Kansas City. He played 9 of his 10 NFL years here in Kansas City and started more games as a nose tackle than any player in franchise history. Bill embodied toughness and grit. He was a great teammate, and it's clear since his playing days have been over that he has remained a great teammate for the city of Kansas City. He's remained involved in the game through his broadcasting career, and he's remained involved in the Kansas City community as a Chiefs ambassador. Bill was inducted into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame in 2017, and we are thrilled to be able to induct him into the Kansas City Chiefs Hall of Fame at Legends Weekend this fall. Please join me in welcoming Bill Moss.
What all would we say? How we doing, guys? Hey, what an honor, Clark. Can't thank you enough. Sitting here filled with gratitude and humility. I know all the names on that wall. I know all those guys personally, and it's an honor to be a part of that group, and I don't take it lightly. So, for everybody that's been on that journey with me through this time, it's been long. There's been some ups, there's been some downs, but I'm glad to be here with all of you because you've been here through the journey with me. My friends, my teammates, my coaches I've been through, those guys pushed me, pushed each other, got us to where we wanted to be, that we were brothers for life, helped me get to the place I am right now, here as a Hall of Famer for the Kansas City Chiefs. It means a lot to me, and I'll carry it with me with a lot of pride. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Go ahead and open up, Adam.
Hey, Bill, hey, congratulations,
Thank you.
by the way. You accomplished a lot in your playing career. Where does this honor rank in your career, making it to the Chiefs Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of stamp of approval, if you will, for the efforts you put into it. I was talking to somebody today, and, Lombardi said, you've seen it, football isn't just a game, it's a way of life. It was a way of life for me. I moved here in 1984 when I got drafted here to become a Chief, and made home here, stayed here. And so being a part of this and being a part of the Chiefs family forever, it's got to be right up there at the top of the list. I told Clark last night, I told him, I said that the 2 greatest phone calls I got were in 1984 from his father, and then the phone call I got from him earlier this month, and it means a ton to me.
So, how did you get the word? Did Clark
Yeah.
contact you and
Yeah.
tell you himself?
Yeah.
How did that go? What was that moment like?
Well, I was driving and I had to pull over. Let's just say that. It was emotional. But I was telling him that when you get news like that, all of a sudden, all those aches and pains, they don't hurt anymore. They kind of miraculously just go away.
Clark, you get to make this call every year. What's it like to be on that end of it?
It's special every year, and every year the response is very emotional. I can tell it means a lot to each of the individuals because I recognize what a special honor it is. I mentioned that Bill's the 54th member of our Hall of Fame, but he's only the 50th player to be inducted, and he's only the 20th defensive player to be inducted. And I think we've had something approaching 2,000 players play for the Kansas City Chiefs in their history. So that tells you, just how special it is and what a great honor it is.
Clark, you're like me. You've been around long enough to remember Bill as a player for the Chiefs. Do you have any specific memories of Bill playing for the Chiefs?
Well, Bill was known for dominating the interior of the defensive line, and something that came up at dinner last night that some of his defensive teammates reminded him of is what a great job he did of taking double teams or triple teams, forcing that from the offense, which allowed them to have more success. Players like Neil Smith, as an example.
Bill, you, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask you that, Chiefs have been to playoff, have had 10 straight years of playoff appearances. You played on a team that ended a 15-year streak of, not going to the playoffs. I wanted to get your thoughts on what that memory was, and how big a moment that was for you, and what you remember about how the franchise felt about it.
Yeah, so in '86, when we went, when I got drafted in '84, I didn't know where I was going to go. If I went early, I can help spearhead a turnaround in an organization that needed it. If I went later, I was going to go to a team that already had success and would try to carry on that success. So got here in '84, and 2 years later, we make the playoffs for the first time in 15 years. And I'll never forget it. We went to Pittsburgh, and we did it on special teams. I think all you guys that were around remember that. We found ways to win. We willed it to win. And we had a bunch of guys out of that young class with, Kevin Ross was there and John Alt was there. And we found ways to win and get into the playoffs. But, yeah, it was great. And we landed back here in Kansas City, and we were greeted by fans, and the Chiefs Kingdom kind of started.
You mentioned, joining a franchise, as you did, that was at a low point, and yet you saw it, especially when Marty came in, build to a crescendo. What was that ride like?
It was really fun because every year you could see us get better. And when Marty got here, he taught us all more about football, collective football, than any one of us had ever known individually. We understood why we had to go to this position on this play. He put everything together, and everybody on the team knew what the offense's responsibility was, what the defense's responsibilities were, what the special teams' responsibility were. And so we had a global picture of how to win and what we needed to do. And so when times would turn a little bit and we weren't hitting those numbers on the field that we needed to hit, keep them under 100 yards rushing on defense, keep them under 200 yards passing, keep it under 300 yards, hold them to 17, hit 20. Those things, we could feel it turn. And so it gave us reminders of what we had to do and how to overcome it. And so that to me was the fun part of seeing it each year get better and better and going further and further in the playoffs.
Is there a moment in your career that truly stands out as one of your favorite memories?
Man, there's a lot. I can say the playoff games were the biggest because we won when you play the game, you want to play the best. You want a championship. You need to get there, and getting to those playoff games every year, it was another step. But it was also really disappointed when it ended.
Bill, what's it meant to you to stay connected with the Chiefs all the way through and to make your life in Kansas City?
It's a perfect fit for me. My family, by the time I got done playing, my kids were growing up here. They're entrenched in school. We're entrenched in the community. We were doing a lot, and we continue to do a lot. So it was just a perfect fit. My family is back in Philadelphia. We go back and see them, or they come out and see us. But Kansas City is home. It's been home for quite some time. And the affiliation we've had with the Chiefs organization, with the Hunt family, and everything that they allow us to do with the Chiefs ambassadors and the community outreach, it's just a great fit, and I enjoy doing it and being here.
What about the day at Arrowhead when you were on the field and the officials threatened to call a delay a game on the crowd, John Elway?
I was at that game. that was amazing. That was one of the craziest rules they put in the offseason. We were like, how in the heck can you penalize a home crowd for being loud, right? And I think that one part of the reason was Kansas City. I mean, we were so loud at that time, sold out, going crazy. People were just hyped up, and the noise was great. And it really started then. And to put that in and then try to use it on us, it didn't go over too well. But when the referee called that, and then he came up the second time, he just pointed to John and said, "Go." I'm not talking to this crowd again. He just pointed and said, "Play." That was fun.
All right, guys good? We'll let Bill make his way off.
Guys, thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats again. Yeah, enjoy the evening.
All right, we'll do a quick reset and open it up for Clark.
I'll just say, as a opener, beyond getting to announce the next Chiefs Hall of Famer, this weekend's always one of the most important ones in the National Football League. If you want to have an opportunity to compete year in, year out, you need to draft well every year. We're fortunate to have Brett Veach here in Kansas City. He does such a tremendous job with his staff on preparing for the draft. And I thought last night he did a great job, let the draft come to us, ended up with a outstanding player who I think will make an impact here in Kansas City for many, many years.
Did you have some feeling you wanted to see that position reinforced?
Well, certainly there was a lot of discussion about the offensive line following the Super Bowl. And Brett, as he often does, took advantage of free agency to go ahead and reinforce it. And I think that's one of the best things that he does is he puts us in a position going into the draft where we don't have to draft based on need. And particularly when you're drafting as late as we do every year, being able to take the best player available gives you a chance of getting somebody who can stick with the organization and make an impact long term. Last night it turned out that it was a left tackle, which was a good fit from a position standpoint, but more importantly, he was the highest rated player we had on the board at that time.
What was just the vibe in that room? You know, obviously, the past couple of years, you guys have lost front office members because of your own success that are now leading other organizations. But how's that changed, and what was it like last night?
Well, we have had some guys move on to other organizations, and I think that makes the chess game that's going on behind the scenes among the GMs even more interesting because those individuals know Brett so well, and he knows them also. So trying to think about what they might do, usually drafting ahead of us, comes into play. But it's a great group that we have here. Having lost people, we still have a lot of continuity, a lot of experience in that room, people that both Brett and Andy trust. And as I mentioned, they had a great plan going into the evening. We had the surprise bonus of trading with Philadelphia there at the end of the first round, something that I certainly wasn't expecting, to move one spot back and pick up a fifth-round pick. And, that was an added cherry on top, I think, to getting a player that we really liked as well.
Since the announcement of the Chargers going to Brazil to play in that game in week 1, there's been speculation that they want you as the opponent in that game. Would you be interested in having the team go down to play in Barcelona or in Brazil?
So we're open to playing internationally whenever we have the opportunity. We have the marketing rights to a number of countries now, and we would be excited to play in any one of those countries. But I've also heard the speculation about Brazil and being the Chargers' opponent, and it's something that we would welcome and embrace. I don't know when the NFL is going to announce it. It's usually a little bit ahead of the schedule release, so we'll probably know in the coming days.
Has the league said anything to you one way or the other about that game?
They haven't. They haven't yet, no.
Speaking of that, why was adding Spain, the UK, and Ireland important to the organization from a marketing standpoint?
Well, I would start with mentioning what a great experience we've had with Mexico, Germany, Switzerland, and Austria, the original countries that we received the marketing rights to. And we'd talked for several years about wanting to expand. And Spain was a relatively new opportunity that the league made available a couple of years ago. And we just felt that was a natural in terms of growing our footprint in Europe. We really sort of looked at the continent from a strategy standpoint and said, look, we're already in the Germany area. Adding Spain and then also adding the UK and Ireland, give us a really broad footprint in the continent, and we think that'll be beneficial to us from a marketing standpoint going forward.
Clark, we last talked to you a few weeks ago at the owners' meetings, and at that time, stadium-wise, you guys were still considering options on both sides. Is that, you guys still in the same position as you were a few weeks ago?
We are, yeah. We've continued to have really good conversations on both sides of the state line. We certainly feel a sense of urgency, and we would like to be able to move the process along. And I think those dialogue, those conversations are picking up and improving.
You
Is it
talked about
possible?
a sense of urgency. Is there a deadline where you'd like to have a decision made?
Yeah. Yeah, well, one thing I've mentioned to this group before is with stadium projects, you can't really have a deadline because a lot of times there are things that are out of your control that affect the timeline. We're certainly focused on making as much progress as we can this year. We're aware of the timeline that it requires to either renovate Arrowhead Stadium or build a new stadium. Those are not short projects, and we want to make sure we have the appropriate amount of time from both a design and construction standpoint.
Clark, is it possible to describe what you need to know that you don't know as you work toward these decisions? I mean, I realize it's a broad question, but I mean, what sorts of things are to be processed?
Really, the biggest thing is reaching an agreement with the political leadership that's in place, whether it's in Kansas or in Missouri. And that's both at a state level, a city level, a county level. There are a lot of groups that you've got to have an agreement with. Obviously, if we were building a new stadium on the Kansas side, there's also the location of the stadium. We would need to have enough property under contract where we feel that we could build a stadium that would be compatible for the community.
Clark, I don't know if we've asked you, but what sort of timeline would it be if you did build a new stadium? Like, how far out do you estimate that you would need to do that?
I think from a design and construction standpoint, it would be in the 4 to 5 year time frame.
At the last league meetings, the owners tabled the rule about the tush-push and outlawing that. It's expected to come up again at the next meetings in next month. Where are you coming down on that?
Yeah, so I've not heard any follow-up dialogue since the meeting, but I do expect as we approach the May League meeting that'll be a subject that we're briefed on. They were going to take it back to the competition committee and I think look at the rule more broadly. As it was proposed at the March meeting, it would have involved really just the tush-push play with the quarterback. But as you all know, going back 20-plus years, it used to be illegal to push an offensive player anywhere on the field. And so I think they wanted to go back and see if it made more sense to approach changing the rule from a universal standpoint. I want to hear the dialogue on it. I want to hear what the medical people think about it from a safety standpoint before having a firm position.
Do you think there'd be more broad support then if it was a rule just against pushing and pulling, like a ball carrier, for instance?
I think it may make more sense to approach it that way because if it truly is a safety issue, then it stands to reason it's not just a safety issue with a design quarterback sneak. It would be potentially a safety issue more broadly.
Just to follow up on Sam's question about the timeline, the new stadium would be 4 to 5 years from, but if it was if Arrowhead was renovated or somehow, what's the difference in that time?
I really don't think it's much of a different timeline because a renovation project we could only work on during the off season. So your construction cycle is shorter each year, even though at the end of the day you're doing less work. So I still think it's in that 4 to 5 year time frame.
We'll go ahead and close it out.
What are the changes, if any, to the stadium to prepare for the World Cup? I mean, what will fans see different, if anything, this fall?
So I don't know how noticeable it will be because for the football season, we're going to have all of the existing seats replaced. But we've been going through a process which started back in March to remove approximately 8 rows on the north side of the stadium. So that's taking out all the seats, all of the concrete risers. There's limestone underneath that we've had to remove. And so it's been a fairly major surgery to the stadium, which is ongoing. For the football season, we're going to put aluminum risers back in with the seats that were there before we took them out, so that the fans who own season tickets in those seats are not impacted.
So you won't lose much, if any, capacity, is it?
That's correct, yes.
All right? Awesome. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, thank you.